It's starting again, and this time the warning signs are much louder than before. Washington is quietly preparing for another legislative earthquake, a move that could reshape America just as deeply as the last political shockwave earlier this year. While most people are focused on the holidays, the real action is happening behind closed doors, where Republican leaders are laying the groundwork for a second massive reconciliation bill. The whispers began as rumors, then turned into late-night meetings, and now the message is unmistakable. A new megabill is coming, and the stakes surrounding it are far higher than anyone expected. You can feel the tension spreading across Capitol Hill as lawmakers rush from briefing to briefing. Staffers print off drafts no one has seen publicly, and negotiations stretch until dawn. Something big is brewing, and it's not just another policy debate. This is a power move. The reason this sudden urgency exists goes back to the decision Republicans made earlier this year when they pushed through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It was a political gamble that passed by the thinnest possible margin, surviving on pure party unity. That bill reshaped taxes, slashed spending in entire departments, pumped billions into border enforcement, and rewrote parts of the federal budget in ways no one had fully prepared for. It left Democrats furious, independents divided, and even some Republicans quietly uneasy. After that vote, most people thought Washington would take a breath, slow down, and stabilize. But that's not what happened. Instead, the effects of that legislation triggered a new political crisis. Expiring health care subsidies, rising insurance costs, and a fresh wave of pressure hitting both parties. And because the clock is ticking, the Republican leadership is preparing to act again, fast. But the part that's sending shockwaves through the political world isn't the urgency, it's the strategy. If Republicans go through with this, they won't need a single Democratic vote. They won't need to negotiate, compromise, or dilute anything. This second mega bill would use the same budget reconciliation power that allowed them to bypass the Senate filibuster earlier this year, cutting straight through every obstacle that normally slows Congress down. One Republican senator called it a simple majority weapon, a tool that can completely rewrite federal law with 51 votes. For the second time in less than a year, a single party could decide billions in spending changes, healthcare restructuring, new taxes or tax cuts, and whatever policy riders they manage to attach behind the scenes. Democrats see this coming and call it a dangerous overreach. Republicans see it as unfinished business. What's unfolding right now is a mix of political ambition, desperation, and opportunity. Republican strategists know that these expiring subsidies could become a major election year disaster if the party doesn't act. Premiums are already set to spike in multiple states. Millions of households that rely on subsidies are about to feel the impact. And the administration knows that letting Democrats take the lead would give them a massive talking point for the midterms. So rather than allow a bipartisan bill with Democratic fingerprints all over it, the GOP leadership is preparing to slam down their own solution, on their own timeline. Insiders say the goal isn't just to extend the subsidies, it's to remake them, reshape the structure of the ACA marketplace, and attach new tax and spending provisions that Republicans have been waiting years to push through. This is why the anxiety in Washington feels different. Everyone knows the first mega bill was hard. This second one could be even harder. Tempers are rising inside the Republican caucus, pressure is intensifying, and the party knows that if they move ahead, there's no turning back. A second mega bill could set off another nationwide firestorm, with consequences stretching deep into 2026. And right now, at this very moment, the wheels are already turning. Behind this new push is a small circle of Republican heavyweights who believe the time is right to strike again. At the center of it all is Senator Lindsey Graham, the man who has quietly transformed himself from committee chairman to legislative architect. He's already holding closed-door meetings with budget staff, mapping out how another reconciliation bill could be structured, and speaking with a confidence that is making Democrats nervous. He's not just floating ideas, he's positioning the party for another sweeping all-Republican maneuver. According to insiders, Graham has told colleagues that passing another megabill isn't optional. It's a chance to secure the party's economic vision for years to come, a chance to lock in their policy wins before the political winds shift again. And the moment he said that, the mood inside the Senate changed. Meanwhile, President Trump has been watching the situation unfold with his own plans in mind. Privately, he's been telling advisors that a second mega bill could secure his legacy on healthcare and taxes, something he wasn't able to fully achieve in his first term. He's pushing hard for a framework that reshapes the ACA marketplace, lowers premiums the Republican way, and includes new tax reforms he believes will energize his base. Sources say he wants a bill that feels bold, big, and unmistakably his, and he's pressuring congressional leaders to deliver it. The White House has already drafted outlines, policy notes, and talking points, preparing for the moment negotiations snap into motion. In this administration, when Trump wants something, the machine moves quickly. But not everyone in the Republican Party is as certain or as unified as the top leadership wants them to be. Beneath the surface, there's growing friction. Some House Republicans remember how narrowly the first mega bill passed and fear that a second attempt could split the party at the worst possible moment. Their majority is razor-thin, and the resignation of even one outspoken lawmaker has intensified that fragility. A handful of moderates are warning that rushing into another partisan battle could backfire, especially if the bill contains deep cuts or controversial adjustments to healthcare subsidies. At the same time, the hardliners on the right are demanding even more aggressive reforms, refusing to support any proposal they believe is too soft or too moderate. The leadership is trying to hold these factions together, but the cracks are real and everyone knows it. Yet despite these internal tensions, there's a sense of inevitability. Republicans know that the Democrats are preparing their own plan, a clean extension of subsidies that would stabilize premiums without touching the underlying structure of the ACA. If that bill gains momentum, it could steal the narrative heading into campaign season. That's a scenario the GOP cannot allow. So even those who oppose parts of the mega bill find themselves wrestling with a harsh political reality. Doing nothing could be worse than doing something controversial. That belief is pushing hesitant lawmakers closer to supporting the reconciliation strategy, even if they privately cringe at the risks. It's the same pressure that held the party together during the first mega bill fight: survival, momentum, and the fear of losing the next election. And overshadowing everything is the simple fact that reconciliation offers something lawmakers on both sides secretly envy: speed. No filibuster, no endless amendments, no bipartisan committees dragging on for months, just power, raw, fast, decisive. With a single majority vote, Republicans could bypass the gridlock that defines modern Congress and pass a law that reshapes healthcare, taxes, and federal spending all at once. That's the temptation. That's the political gravity pulling everyone in. And it's why the whispers about this bill have turned into real planning sessions, real strategy calls, and real movement toward a second legislative earthquake. As the outlines of the new mega bill begin to take shape, the most intense battles are no longer between parties, but within the Republican ranks themselves. Lawmakers are quietly passing around early drafts, each page filled with ideas that could either solve the subsidy crisis or ignite a backlash powerful enough to fracture the party in half. The most controversial proposals focus on reshaping the ACA subsidies instead of simply extending them. Top Republicans want to eliminate the zero-premium plans that millions of Americans rely on, arguing that the system has become too easy to exploit and too expensive to maintain. They want new income-based caps that could remove entire categories of households from eligibility. They want to redirect some of the subsidy money toward health savings accounts, a longtime conservative favorite that shifts financial responsibility back onto individuals. Supporters call these changes bold reforms. Critics inside the party privately warn that these moves could spark anger from working families right before an election year. Yet these healthcare changes are only the beginning. Hidden inside the early drafts are tax provisions that could redraw the national political map. Some are extensions of Trump-era cuts. Others are brand new ideas that the administration believes could energize working-class voters. And then there's the most explosive idea of all, the so-called tariff dividend, a proposal that would send cash payments to Americans using revenue collected from Trump's tariff policies. Some Republicans love the idea. Others argue it's risky, untested, and could expose the party to massive economic criticisms. But in a Congress obsessed with momentum, boldness often wins over caution. Trump wants something dramatic. His advisors want something headline-grabbing. And the reconciliation process gives them a way to attach these ideas to a must-pass healthcare package. That combination makes the bill even more complex and even more unpredictable. Meanwhile, as the policy battles burn inside meeting rooms, the political temperature around Capitol Hill keeps rising. Democrats, fully aware of what's coming, have started mobilizing their own response. They're holding their press conferences. They're doing interviews. They're warning that Republicans are preparing to rig the healthcare system, slash benefits, and rewrite tax laws for the wealthy. They know the power of narrative, and they're trying to seize it early, before Republicans finalize anything. But the Democrats' biggest challenge isn't messaging, it's numbers. With no ability to filibuster a reconciliation bill, all they can do is watch as Republicans move piece by piece, amendment by amendment, toward a final package that excludes them entirely. And the frustration inside the Democratic caucus is growing. They remember the last mega bill fight. They remember how little power they had, as the Republican majority pushed their bill through the Senate. Now they're bracing for a repeat, but this time, with the stakes even higher. The tension building between the two parties is creating a political atmosphere that feels less like normal legislating and more like a countdown to a national confrontation. Each leaked detail, each private comment, each rumor coming out of committee rooms sends reporters into a frenzy. Analysts on television speak as if the bill is both inevitable and impossible at the same time. Financial markets are starting to watch closely. Healthcare lobbyists are preparing for impact. Governors are asking what this could mean for their budgets. And ordinary Americans, the millions whose premiums could rise or fall depending on the provisions, have no idea that decisions worth thousands of dollars to their families are being negotiated right now, in hallways they will never see. What's being built behind the scenes isn't just a bill. It's a political gamble with consequences stretching far beyond Washington. As the clock continues to tick down, the most important question left in Washington is not what will be in the second mega bill, or even who will support it. The real question is whether Republicans can hold their own coalition together long enough to push it across the finish line. The first mega bill already pushed the party to the breaking point. A second attempt carries even greater risk, because now every member understands the political cost. Behind the scenes, Republican leaders are whispering that this may be their last chance to secure another sweeping legislative victory before the election cycle explodes. Losing even a handful of votes could collapse the entire effort. Winning could reshape the political landscape for years. It's an all-or-nothing moment, and everyone in Washington feels it. But even as the Republican leadership leans into the urgency, the obstacles keep piling up. The House majority is so thin that any shift, any disagreement, any unexpected resignation could derail the entire process. Senators who once marched in lockstep are suddenly hesitant, worried about explaining complicated healthcare changes to voters back home. And in the background, the memory of last summer's fight is still fresh. That battle drained political capital, triggered protests, and sparked national debate. This time, the consequences could be even louder, especially if the bill touches millions of families facing rising premiums. Every adjustment to the subsidy structure, every tax provision added or removed, every spending cut tucked into the text could decide the fate of the bill and the fate of the lawmakers backing it. Democrats, for their part, are already preparing for the public fallout. They know they can't stop the bill procedurally, but they can turn the fight into a political weapon. Their strategy is simple: frame the Republican plan as extreme, reckless, and dangerous. They'll argue it's a partisan overhaul disguised as a healthcare fix. They'll warn that seniors, low-income families, and entire states could lose protections. They'll call it governing through brute force instead of bipartisan negotiation. And the closer Republicans get to finalizing the bill, the louder these warnings will become. This is how modern Washington works. Legislation isn't just lawmaking, it's battlefield messaging. Yet even with all the noise, the real story is unfolding quietly in the meeting rooms where the final decisions are being made. Staffers huddle over spreadsheets. Negotiators balance cost estimates with political fallout. Senior advisors walk in and out of closed offices as new drafts appear on printers that never stop running. This is the unseen part of government, the hours where the language of a bill turns into the future of the country. And everyone involved knows that once the text is finalized, there will be no time left for hesitation. The bill will move quickly, just like the first one. The votes will be intense, close, unpredictable, and the country will watch as the outcome decides whether this second mega bill becomes another chapter in the Republican agenda or collapses under the weight of its own ambition. In the end, what's happening right now is more than legislative strategy. It's a reflection of how fragile power has become in modern American politics. A single vote can shift the direction of national policy. A single amendment can determine how much families pay for health care. A single moment of hesitation can swing the balance of Congress. Republicans believe this is their chance to shape the next decade. Democrats believe it's a warning sign of another political storm, and while the public goes about their daily lives, unaware of how much is being negotiated above their heads, the decisions being made tonight will echo across the country long after the ink dries. Because whether it passes or fails, this second mega bill will define the next chapter of the American meltdown, and once again remind the nation just how much power a single party can exert when the rules allow it.